Welcome to the Cicero speech contest. I'm so glad that this has become another great Barnard tradition. And our speaking fellows have worked very hard to put this together. So I just want to give a shout out to them. Thank you so much for everything you have done. And I'll begin my very brief opening remarks, somewhat unusually. I will use the same quote I used last time. But I think it's so relevant right now that I need to read this to you. Susan B. Anthony, 150 years ago, wrote, "No advanced step taken by women has been so bitterly contested as that of speaking in public." She says, "For nothing which they have attempted, not even the right to suffrage, have they been so abused, condemned, and antagonized." Does that sound familiar? So, as if it hasn't been 150 years, not much has changed. And I feel, especially now in this election season where the atmosphere is filled with rhetoric of vitriol and hate, it's more important than ever for us to speak up. Some of you may know this. I grew up in communist Yugoslavia, which was a totalitarian country. There was no freedom of speech. And now I live in this country, and Croatia, fortunately, is democracy as well. But I cherish the First Amendment and the freedom of speech almost more than anything else. I think it's so important to have this right and to exercise it, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's downright offensive. But democracy presupposes that everybody has the right to speak. But does everybody have the same opportunity to speak? Does everybody have the same courage to speak? As you well know, there are many voices now being silenced, whole groups of people, and other voices being amplified. So we hope that this event will serve as an opportunity for you students, to practice speaking out, to hone those skills, to get into the habit so it becomes second nature to speak up whenever you feel there's a need for the change of status quo. So I hope you don't see this as a one-off, but as an inspiration. And I hope that you will take this and take every opportunity in the future, create opportunities for yourselves to speak up. I, for one, and I know everybody else here, cannot wait to hear your great ideas, both today and in the future. Let the contest begin.
Hi everyone, I'm Francesca. I'm going to read some remarks from President Spar, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. Good evening. I'm sorry that I cannot join you in person, but it is my pleasure on this night of great words to welcome you with a few of my own. The Cicero Speech Contest, now in its 4th year, is a point of pride for Barnard. And to each of you who are about to compete, who quite literally rise to the occasion by getting out of your seats to stand before the audience, I offer my greatest respect and admiration. Public speaking is a challenge, an art and a responsibility, and you are already winners. You have found words to convey your thoughts, and then you have given voice to those words. From my own experience, I can attest to the fact that this is no small feat. With your speeches, you are trying to convince, to persuade, to explain and express, to share a feeling, to promote a plan, to win an argument, to elicit a laugh. And let's face it, it's not just about speaking up and speaking out, two things that are synonymous with Barnard, but how you say what you say truly matters. Cadence and tone always count, along with body language, eye contact, the tilt of the head. Of course, this year's contest is especially timely. How many speeches have we been subjected to over the past many months as our country makes its way towards electing a new president? What do we remember? What resonates? What incites hope and what instills fear? It's always more than mere words. Knowing Barnard students as I do, I have no doubt that you will meet the task with grace and conviction. I hope that you will continue to practice the art of speech and to promote a speaking culture here at Barnard. And, as always, I look forward to hearing from you, arguing with you, and being moved by you. Good luck tonight, President Spar.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Helena. I'm also going to read some remarks by an alumna, Joe Timanon, who is the Senior Vice President of Global Digital Payments at Citibank. She is also a co-chair of the Athena Leadership Council. She is a former alumna trustee of the Barnard Board of Trustees, and is a mentor for the Career Office Mentorship Program. Good evening, all. While I've had the pleasure of judging this event in the past, unfortunately, I am unable to attend tonight. Lucky for me, Daniela has given me the opportunity to share a few words. First of all, it is certainly my loss to not be here tonight. I know all of you will have wonderful speeches for both the impromptu and persuasive categories. What blew my mind away last time I attended was your confidence, composure, and content. Your ability to take a topic and create a compelling story. I can say with 100% confidence that your ability to speak so comfortably in this setting, and I can only imagine in others as well, will have a huge benefit as you grow at Barnard, launch your professional careers, or in your personal life. Communication and speaking skills are valued everywhere, literally everywhere. And so, I wish you a wonderful evening, and I can't wait to hear all about it, and hope to make it up at a future Cicero event. All my best from a very impressed alumna. Cheers.
Hello, me again. I will introduce our Provost, Linda Bell. Linda Bell is the Provost and Dean of the Faculty, as you know, at Barnard College, where she's also a Professor of Economics. Before she came to Barnard, Professor Bell was the Provost and John B. Harford Professor of Economics at Haverford College. Provost Bell is also a Research Fellow at the Institute for the Study of Labor, IZA, in Bonn, Germany, and a Senior Consultant for the Labor Practice Group of the National Economic Research Associates. Please welcome Linda Bell.
So I'm going to take Daniela's cue and stand behind the lectern for seriousness of purpose. We look up here, it's the 4th annual Cicero contest, and it's been 126 years, some odd years of Barnard history. So I just have to pause and remark how wonderful this innovation is by Professor Kemp. So thank you for doing that. Thank you all for participating in this. You are starting a tradition. And imagine 100 years from now that students will be sitting here and saying, it's at the 104th Cicero presentation, and thinking about you and what you've all together created. So I want to welcome everyone here. I want to thank you for taking the time away from busy schedules and competing obligations to basically pay tribute to your fellow classmates, many of whom are participating here today, and to engage in what is a time-honored tradition of argument, commentary, and speech. The purpose of tonight is in no small measure to pay homage to the beauty and power of words, of composition, and of delivery, and the beauty and the significance of speech. What we say, perhaps no less important than how we say it, helps to define who we are and in what directions we and our fellow friends, students, individuals can move forward. It's significantly important to speak precisely and with passion. The cadence, as I believe President Spar said, is often very important. And it's something that we hope each and every Barnard student will learn and will embrace and will value. It's part of who we are, it's part of our boldness. And with Professor Kemp's and the program's fine advice and leadership, you will all get there, and you'll demonstrate that you got there this evening. One of my personal most admired public orators was Elie Wiesel, and his speech was powerful not just because of a compelling message, but because from the despair of his message came great offerings of hope. In accepting the Nobel Peace Prize in 1986, Wiesel offered that, and I quote, "There may be times when we are powerless to prevent injustice, but there must never be a time when we fail to protest." To me, this quite simply resonates. It always has. Words are historically and quite significantly our most powerful mechanism for affecting change. And in my own personal life, the path I chose was really always about trying to push things ever so slowly and to affect change. So in the spirit of admiration for effective oration, and with the really firm belief that somehow it all really does matter, we continue the time-honored tradition here tonight of careful, thoughtful, persuasive speech. I look forward to hearing more. Let's all be together and enjoy it. Thank you.
All right, let's get started, right? So for persuasive, I will be introducing the judges for the persuasive category. The first is William Sharp. William Sharp joined the faculty of Barnard in 1983 and teaches courses in urban literature, modern poetry, Victorian literature, and literary criticism. His work has been supported by grants and fellowship from the Mellon Foundation, the Guggenheim Foundation, and the American Council of Learned Societies, amongst others. And he has published numerous articles on literature, urban studies, and the visual arts. Professor Sharp's book on images of New York City at night, called New York Nocturne, The City After Dark in Art, Literature, and Photography, is the winner of the Peter S. Rollins Award of the Northeast American Studies Association and the MSA Book Prize of the Modernist Studies Association. His latest book is forthcoming from Oxford University Press in the spring, entitled Grasping Shadows, A Guide to Understanding the Dark Side in Literature, Painting, Photography, and Film. Our second judge is Margaret Vandenberg, who joined the Barnard faculty in 1998 and was 2004 recipient of the Emily Gregory Award for Excellence in Teaching. Having completed her PhD at Columbia University, she is now a senior lecturer in English at Barnard College, specializing in modernism and postmodernism. She is the author of novels including The Home Front, a portrait of a family facing autism, and Weapons of Mass Destruction, an Iraq War Requiem. She also wrote the libretto for Ada, which was most recently presented by the Center for Contemporary Opera. Our third judge is Rebecca Kelleher. She's a graduate of Barnard College in 2013 and former writing fellow. She received a writing fellowship from New York University's campus in Abu Dhabi, the United Arab Emirates, after graduation, and returned to Barnard to be the writing and speaking programs coordinator for 2 years. As coordinator, Rebecca supported and learned from the most brilliant and collaborative students she knows, the writing and speaking fellows. Rebecca is currently the Associate Director of Editorial Services at Columbia University's Office of Alumni and Development, and she is delighted to be back at Barnard to judge the Cicero Speech Contest in its 4th year.
Hello, good evening. So it is my immense pleasure to introduce the persuasive speech category to you all this evening. And persuasive speech is really important and one of the key things that we do as a part of the Speaking Fellow program. And I know Professor Kemp touched on this a little bit in terms of how do you change the status quo and how do you introduce a new dialogue within the space in which you're inhabiting. So each contestant this evening will be delivering a approximately 5 to 6 minute speech centered around a central topic or a central theme about which they are passionate, with the aim of persuading you, their audience, as well as our panel of illustrious judges, to their side. So by the end of a truly effective persuasive speech, you should not only know more about the topic on which the person is speaking, but your views on that topic should have changed a little bit. So maybe you held one belief before they got up and started speaking, and you walk away from this being like, wow, I feel very differently about this now. And those persuasive speeches that are like the most effective are ones where you walk away and you think, I want to do something about this. What is this? How can I affect change on this topic? That is how persuaded you are. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to our first speaker, which will be Zoe Berg, and she will be speaking on toxins in common consumer products. So Zoe, take it away.